spectacular. Uh, They ask you to provide a detailed map of your golf course, which shows your natural areas, your buffers, your corridors. And they also like you to really collect as much baseline data as you can. And they want baseline data for all your water bodies and all your water sources. And communication certainly is a big part of this category as well. How are you letting people know that you're part of the program? We mark our environmentally sensitive areas on the golf course, and we have signage such as this on our first and 10th tees that let members and guests know that our property is certified by Audubon International. This category is probably one of my favorites. It's a really fun category to participate in. The purpose here for the wildlife and habitat management category is to enhance natural areas and landscaping on the golf course and to protect and sustain native habitats and the wildlife that depend on them for survival. So they ask you to identify all your core habitats, your woodlands, your wetlands, your stream corridors. They want you to identify all your natives and all your invasives. We've done a lot of native plantings around the banks of our ponds over the years. Chokeberry, viburnum, Joe Pye weed, turtlehead are all plantings we've done around the banks of our ponds. And we've had a lot of success with invasives over the years. I've been battling bittersweet forever, but I think we've really made some great strides there. We've pretty much eliminated all the burning bush that we have on the property. It's an ongoing battle for us right now with purple loosestrife, barberry. So when we're out there removing that off the golf course and we're putting it in the back of a golf cart, we're taking pictures of it, we're sending it to Audubon, we're showing them that we're trying to remove as many invasives as we can. Inventories are also very important. We have bird and mammal inventories. I've expanded my inventories over the years to include reptiles and fish. We stock our ponds. I have a picture of a gentleman on my staff stocking our ponds. We do that every 3 or 4 years, and we stock them with newts and minnows and shiners and things like that. We have stump dumps out on the course. We leave brush piles out on the course for wildlife habitat. We do a lot of work with our nest boxes. We have nest boxes for the bluebird, owl, nuthatch, bat houses. We have wood duck houses in our ponds. I think something we've really been successful with too is creating wildlife corridors. I think my favorite corridor we have on this property pretty much runs from Bramhall all the way to Waits Landing Road along Route 1. Along our 6th hole we have an area that we leave pretty much undisturbed of a lot of standing dead and down trees. And what it does is it really provides a great corridor to get animals up Route 1 and Route 88. So we've tried to create as many wildlife corridors as we can on the property. We do a lot of staking and flagging of nesting areas. I have killdeer that lay their eggs in our French drains. The eggs look just like the stones in the drains. And the killdeer, they guard those things. I mean, we take a big fairway mower and they'll be chasing us around to keep us away from their eggs, but we mark them so that the members are aware and my mowers are aware. We have a lot of turtles in our ponds. They'll come out of the ponds, lay their eggs in the rough. They'll let your mowers know where they are, so we're staking and marking them. We provide milkweed for the monarch butterfly. I've done raised bed vegetable and herb gardens for member and club use. I have a cut flower garden that we use for functions. I've planted a raspberry patch out on the course. All our containers are nectar providing for the hummingbird. And we do a lot of restoring of degraded habitats, erosion along our banks. We'll do our best to repair those. And I'm really excited this year. We're taking on a new project. I've actually got a gentleman on my staff now who's taken a 5-week beekeeping course. So we're going to do some beekeeping out on the course, which I'm really excited about doing. It should be a fun project. The next category is a very important one for sure: chemical use reduction and safety. The purpose here is to ensure safe storage, application, and handling of chemicals, and reduce actual and potential environmental contamination associated with chemical use. I think training is the most important part of our certification in this category. We have trained master and commercial applicators on staff. We receive educational training yearly, and we have to accumulate credits in order for us to maintain our license. We attend local, regional, and national turf shows to help us become educated. And we are subject to random inspections by the state of our equipment, of our storage facilities, of our records, and then we also have to provide detailed annual summary reports of our pesticide use to the Board of Pesticide Control. Plant health is an obvious one. Obviously, the best defense against disease, weeds, and stress is a healthy plant. So we're always trying to use sound cultural practices. And then we're also establishing thresholds out there for weeds, insects, and funguses. And we do that through scouting. Safety, you know, are you calibrating your sprayer regularly? Are you triple rinsing and puncturing all your containers? Are you wearing protective clothing and equipment? And they're requiring you to send pictures. I can't just sit here and say I'm doing that. Audubon wants you to send pictures to them. So a lot of this program revolves around photographs. And I think a lot of golf courses are already doing all these things. They just may not be enrolled in the program, so they're not getting recognized for it. Some of our accomplishments in this particular category include no herbicides on our greens. We don't use any herbicides on the greens. We don't do any wall-to-wall applications for grubs or crabgrass, and we're able to do that because we go out and scout. Obviously, we've passed some thresholds there, but by scouting, we're able to avoid wall-to-wall applications. We have quite a few acres of what we call no spray zones, all along our entranceway, all up along Route 88 and Route 1. We don't do any spraying at all. We have no pesticides on our pool lawn, no pesticides on our tennis lawn. I think the biggest complaint we get at the pool is the kids are worried about getting stung by the bees down there. But really, as a golf course, you have to define areas where this is acceptable. I have to take a picture of that pool lawn with clover all through it and send it to Audubon so they know that we're not using pesticides on the lawn. Last year, we participated in a study with Northeast Pest Consulting out of New Hampshire, and it was a study on the Hyperotes weevil, the annual bluegrass weevil, which is a real menace to golf courses all along the East Coast. We were one of 30 courses along the East Coast to participate in this study, and what we did was we provided weekly degree day data and weevil samples so that we could predict the life stages of the weevil, and the recommendations led to proper timing of treatments, improved control, and a reduction in the number of applications that were needed. So here at the country club, the weevil, when I first started working, I never heard of the annual bluegrass weevil, but in the last 10 to 15 years, they've certainly become a problem. But we've been able to reduce our weevil spray from 27 acres, where we're spraying fairways, to just under 10 acres now. Through scouting and tracking the weevil, we've been able to limit ourselves to just spraying the perimeters. The weevil does not affect your taller grass. It's going to affect your shorter grasses that are cut at a ½ inch or lower. So when that weevil moves in from the wooded areas through our rough, we're trying to catch them before they get to our fairways. So we are, as golf course superintendents, we're always striving to be environmentally sound. But we still have to effectively do our job. There are member expectations that we do have to meet. And we are cutting grasses at really low heights. And we certainly do need some products to do that. Water conservation. Purpose here is to ensure adequate water supplies, not only for irrigation, but also for the healthy ecological functioning of water bodies, such as rivers, streams, wetlands, lakes, bays, and ponds. I think the most important thing here in this category has been upgrades. And we upgraded our irrigation system in 2010. Before 2010, when I watered this golf course, all my sprinkler heads came on, and all the heads spun all the way around, and all the heads that I had came on in zones, meaning that when I turned a particular set of heads on, they all came on at once, and they all spun all the way around. So really it was just over watering. So what we did with the upgrades in our system is we installed what are called part circle heads around our greens and tees. So when these heads come on, all they're doing is hitting the surface that you want to hit. But I think the biggest upgrade we had with our irrigation was that I was able to, at this point, individually control every head. So before, when I was watering a green and I put 10 minutes on, all 4 heads would come on, all for 10 minutes, and they would all spin all the way around. Now when I water, say, our 5th green, I have a tree in the back of that green, I have some tree root problems. I can water the back left of that green for 10 minutes, but if I want to water the right front, I can water that for 2 minutes. So the individually controlled heads and the upgrades have been very important. When we put that irrigation system in 2010, thinking environmentally, thinking Audubon, we thought, what can we do? So what we did there was we tried to eliminate as many heads from our plan, and we were able to eliminate 100 heads and create some native grass areas. In 2017, when we did the restoration of our bunkers, we decided to sod all our bunkers with a drought-tolerant grass. That way, we were able to eliminate all the missed irrigation we had around our bunkers before that. So we've had some real success in lowering our water bill. And product-wise, I think the biggest advancement in our industry has been the use of wetting agents. And wetting agents are products that prevent the soil particles from becoming hydrophobic and help the soil retain moisture. I love this slide because this is a perfect example of where we've experimented with a wetting agent. You can see on the bottom of this hill in front of our first tee where we sprayed a wetting agent on the bottom of the hill but not on the top. And you can see how much less water it took us to keep that area green. Water quality management is the 5th category. The purpose here is to ensure clean water supplies and protect the health and integrity of water bodies such as oceans, rivers, streams, wetlands, lakes, ponds, and aquifers. Obviously, best management practices are what you should use near all water bodies. Try to eliminate as much erosion as you can through high-density planting on your banks and buffering. And then water testing. We use Katahdin Analytical Services, and we test our water yearly and send that to them. All our inlets and outlets, they can test for heavy metals, pesticides, pH, dissolved oxygen. We have excellent cattail buffering, and we have a lot of cattail buffering. Particularly, my biggest concern is what do I get from Route 1 and Route 88 coming into my ponds before it goes into Casco Bay. And we're fortunate to have excellent cattail buffering along those water bodies. Outreach and education is the 6th and final category I'll talk about. The purpose here is to ensure ongoing support for stewardship initiatives, strengthen local community connections, and extend participation in environmental conservation activities. I think involvement is the important part of this category. I've had a lot of members help me with case studies that I've done over the years. I have a member this year, Betsy Kelly. She's overwintering all my dahlia for me, and she's told me she will bring them down in May. She will plant them and show me where they should go. So thank you, Betsy. Last season we had a ladies themed member guest around our Audubon program, and what we did was we had pictures on each tee, we had an environmentally themed quiz, and then I was able to provide each guest with some information about our certification in this program. They were able to bring it back to their club, so it was very successful. We have an Audubon board out on our golf course, which shows that we fill with pictures and has highlights of our program in it. We are members of the Maine Audubon, and we have had Doug from Maine Audubon come over the last 2 years, and he's done a spring bird walk, and we have a lot of members from the community participate in that. We also do a member cleanup day that started with about 8 people, and now I've got about 80 people. We have displayed and framed recognition that we have throughout the club. I have some of that displayed on our table. Some of the other activities we've done is we host 2 Southern Maine Community College classes a year. I have a fall turf class that comes out, and that was really great this year. I had a girl that came out with the turf class this year. She was 21. She had never been on a golf course in her whole life. She couldn't believe what a beautiful green space it was. I had to convince her that it's okay, you can walk on the green, and yes, that grass is real. We also host a winter arboriculture class, which Tom from our Resource Advisory Council teaches. The class comes out, they get versed in chainsaw safety, and then they get some actual field experience out on the course. So it's an opportunity for us to educate students about the ACSP for golf. And as a father and having 2 daughters, I was always good for a field trip, and that was a great time for me to educate parents about what we do on the golf course. That really outlines the 6 categories. I'm going to go quickly into talking about recertification. And what the recertification is it's done to help ensure the high standard of stewardship at certified properties. You don't just become certified and you're all done. You have to recertify every 3 years. So what they're looking for in recertification is backup documentation and a case study, and then they also ask you to do a third-party site visit, and they alternate these forms of recertification. The backup documentation, they're looking for general information. What were your environmental accomplishments the last 3 years? How can you expand your efforts? What problems have you experienced? And then they expect you to provide backup documentation. So I have a wildlife sighting board at my shop so my staff can help me contribute to my wildlife inventory. We do a plant inventory. We have photographs, natural areas, water features, our maintenance facility, our storage facilities. You provide a labeled property map. You have to provide all your scouting records. You have to send Audubon your water test results, your soil test results. They want educational materials such as articles or brochures. They are looking for all your outreach and involvement materials such as thank you letters, Resource Advisory Council agendas. You have to send all your chemical use tables to the Audubon so that they can see your yearly pesticide and fertilizer records. And then they also ask you to do a case study. Some of our case studies have involved our pond improvements. I've done case studies on our irrigation upgrades. The most recent case study I did was a really fun one. It was I did it, and it was a tree resource assessment. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to provide a glimpse of the natural assets we have here on the property.